work for Brownfield Ag News. It's an agriculture radio network. We cover 10 states in the Midwest. I cover Illinois. Yeah. Nope, it's not too bad. I graduated college a year ago, and I just started with Brownfield in January. Thank you. Murray State. I started at Kaskaskia. I did 2 years at Kaskaskia, and then a year and a half at Murray State. Nice to meet you. And you said you were with? Gotcha.
Is that right? Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I grew up in agriculture and I just enjoyed journalism, so I just kind of pushed the two together. I do a lot. It kind of depends on the time of year. Now that harvest is almost over, a lot of time to see. I think you're following me. I did. I mean, we can. Since I did, in the end, if everybody else wants to, since I just got it yesterday, but I am going to talk to, who else is this? Douglas. I think I'm going to talk to him, but I'll definitely be. I'll probably just talk to him and definitely make mention that Bill's here. Okay, yeah, so I'll get some pictures. Yes. Yeah, I do that a lot too. As you can see, you get a stack and you put them on the bottom, and then you just pull from the stack and then you're handing out other people's cards. Oh, yeah.
Have you everybody else wants to stay in the back of the room, but at least the media will come to the front row, right?
Yep.
I'm Bill Murray.
Charles Bell.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for being here.
I told Dave you're following me. I told Dave you're following me.
You can stand otherwise. So does this need to be powered up or anything? Or do you
I think it's high. He said it's high.
and so you get a sound
You don't
check?
have to do anything. So you can try to do it. You can pop it and see if,
Okay.
yeah, it's ready.
Yep, we're good to go. All right, well, I feel like I'm at a church service this morning because not all of the chairs are full. Everybody wants to hang in the back. So if you do feel like you want to sit down, there are plenty of chairs up here yet. And so we're going to go ahead and get started this morning. I want to say good morning to everyone. I'm Doug Wilson. I'm the Illinois State Director for Rural Development here in Illinois. And I'm glad you joined us today for this announcement that is really a great element that we get to talk about here. And so I want to thank some folks that are here in the crowd, and I'll probably miss some because I didn't get to see everyone ahead of time, but I know that the congressionals have representatives here. Matt Rice is in the room representing Congressman Shimkus's office. There you are. And Congressman Bost, is there someone in the room from his office? Not seeing anyone. We should have some state representatives here. Terry Bryant, there you go. Good morning to you. And Darrell Bailey is here. He's another state rep, though. They're sitting side by side, so they're in good shape there. And Matt Schmidt, who is the Illinois Director for the State of Illinois Broadband Program. He was hoping to be here this morning. But I have not seen him. I haven't seen him yet, but he should be here. We are, as I like to say, we work a lot. I like to work local, state, and federal. That maximizes the dollars and gives everybody some input. And so we try to work with all levels in these types of projects. And then also, a very important person in the room, Chris Collins. Where are you at? Wave your hand. Okay. Chris is our general field representative. He's the one that makes sure, takes what Barry does and turns it into government ease, if I can say that, and then helps the applicants come through to work through the projects there. So that's just some of the folks that are here. And of course, there are other rural development folks in the room that I won't shout out to, but be aware if you see that badge, that's someone you can talk to and find out more about rural development overall. Now, one of the things I like to say is that when rural development shows up, somebody's life is going to improve. And that's an awesome thing, I think, to be able to say. And it's something that we prove each and every day in the process. Rural development has over 40 different programs, and they're all geared to rural Illinois. Our core funding areas include home ownership, business development, community services, infrastructure, which includes water and environmental projects, renewable energy, and high-speed broadband, which is what we're here to talk about today. Broadband is a priority for USDA, and we're helping to extend services to rural areas that have been in need of service like this for years. A lot of times you hear a comparison of this is just like back in the 30s when electricity came to rural, or in the 40s when telephones came to rural areas. Broadband is definitely an absolute need for communities and individuals in their daily lives, in their businesses, in their healthcare and emergency services. So it isn't an overstatement in that element. Today, I'm happy to have Undersecretary Bill Norby with us today. He's going to be making the announcement. And just to start with giving you a little bit, I'm going to try not to take everything away from our other two speakers here, but it is a $12.8 million project of investment that's coming into this area, and it's going to bring high-speed broadband into the area, and when deployed, it'll reach literally people who have had no access to broadband in both Jefferson and Wayne counties, and this is through the program ReConnect. Now, Wabash Telephone and Co-op isn't a stranger to USDA Rural Development. They've utilized our programs before, and I want to say publicly that this area is very fortunate to have a board of directors and a manager like Barry, who realize the importance of high-speed broadband and are pushing into new areas to grant more service to other people. That's something that really is a helpful element for us as we work through these program areas. Today's program will impact literally thousands of people as they move out into new areas. There's going to be almost 300 miles of fiber that will be laid in this area, and it's going to impact over 1,600 households. We list 31 farms. I'm going to say that's homesteads, but with precision agriculture and some of the things that I'm seeing develop, utilizing local broadband suppliers to build their own networks, I think it literally could be hundreds of farms that could be impacted with this. And it's an area that I hope that precision agriculture and broadband will continue to work cooperatively together, because if you are a farmer, you likely have a screen in your tractor. If you're not a farmer, you probably wondered what that farmer is doing or how in the world he could drive that straight of a row. Mm-hmm. But, the overall element is education, healthcare. It just goes on and on and on. Anything you can think of that will be the part of what Wabash is already serving, in addition to the new areas they'll be serving, is a huge boom to that area from all elements within. And we're not alone. You're not alone down here in this neighborhood. The need for high-speed broadband in Illinois is great. There are many, many areas that could use development. We think of the interstate systems and the transportation and the population we have. There still are a lot of unserved areas, and we're hopeful that we can play a role. We're not the end-all, but we're hopeful that USDA can play a role in helping bring broadband to the entire state, ultimately to the entire nation, of getting rural America up to speed on where things go. So rural development has a variety of programs to work with, as I've already mentioned. Creating greater connectivity is an important part of that. ReConnect is actually one of 6 programs that USDA has that has interlinking with broadband and using that type of technology, including distance learning, telemedicine, and community connect. So I'm going to stop there with that, and it's my honor to be able to introduce Bill Northey, who is the Undersecretary of Farm Production and Conservation. And Bill is in charge of the Natural Resources and Conservation Service. I should mention Ivan is here today, Ivan Dozier, who is the State Conservation for NRCS. Him and I reside in offices about 30 feet from each other, I think, so I get to see Ivan quite a bit. I'm glad that you made the trip down here today. And also does risk management, crop insurance, and then, of course, farm production and conservation in many different ways. Mr. Northey served as the Secretary of Agriculture in 2006 through 2018. He's a fourth-generation farmer. He served as president and chairman of the National Corn Growers Association. Coincidentally, we both were involved in National Corn Growers at the same time. I didn't ask him if he remembers me as a headache or an asset, but we're going to assume an asset at this point in time. He also was the president of the Association of State Departments of Agriculture for the nation, in other words, leading all of his peers at a national level. So it's been a great opportunity to see Bill again. I know that he's very dedicated to rural America. His focus is in the agriculture element, but he's very knowledgeable of what it takes to make communities prosper and grow, because that's really an important element. So, Undersecretary, please.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Great to be able to catch up a little bit. We've seen each other on and off through the years, but we've known each other now over 20 years from our time on Corn Growers together. Thank you all for coming out today for this announcement. Very, very important announcement. And certainly important to homeowners and businesses and farms in this area. Congratulations to Wabash for stepping up and making the commitment to be able to serve more folks in this area. Certainly proud to be able to make that announcement official of the $12.8 million grant loan combination to expand broadband service, high-speed wireless to folks in Jefferson and Wayne County. A great public-private partnership. You know, there are many areas of the country, as Doug said, that are a real challenge to make financially work the investment that it takes to be able to provide high-speed internet service, broadband service. Just financially, there's just more distance between the customers to be able to provide the investment that it takes, as Doug said, 300 miles of fiber to be able to connect the folks here, to be able to build that backbone, and then be able to have that available for the other values over time. A lot of folks outside those thousands of people that are directly impacted here. Great demand for these dollars. These dollars came about from the Secretary, the President talking about the need to invest in rural America, providing a little bit of a framework for that. Congress stepped up with $600 million to be able to invest. Now, that may sound like a lot of money until you start looking at the whole country and the kind of investment that it takes to be able to address those underserved areas, and in some cases, unserved, completely unserved areas across the country. There were a series of sessions put together, in-person and online webinars, to be able to talk about what potentially should be requested of companies, how should this program be structured, and it was set up to say, let's look at those unserved, nearly completely unserved folks across the country, because there's enough of those areas. Let's find a way to be able to address that. Let's ask those private providers that will carry on this service long after the original investment to come forward with a plan and how they're going to address those completely unserved folks. There were about $1.4 billion worth of applications to be able to provide matching funds and other kinds of investment, a long-term commitment towards serving those customers in that area that applied for that portion of the $600 million that was out there. So we know in a first round, an initial round, there's a lot of interest, and it was very, very competitive. So congratulations to Wabash and team in putting it all together. The Illinois RD folks that were part of making sure the package was together the way it needed to be, and certainly congratulations to the folks that will be served in Jefferson and Wayne County. Very important. As Doug said, there probably was a time that we thought broadband was maybe a luxury. It was a nice way to be able to get your emails faster or download some kind of entertainment or something. We know that's not true anymore. It's not. It certainly can do those things, but it really is about moving large amounts of data around. It's essential to businesses, certainly essential to agriculture, both today, and we can imagine all the ability for us to be able to use that in the future as well. Once we have it, I think it is going to be an awful lot like electricity on farms. Maybe it was just started to be able to run a few lights, maybe run a milking machine here and there, and then we found a few other things to use electricity for, and the demand went up, and the building in of the capacity of these services by looking at fiber and what you can do and scale the use of that without us knowing for sure all those applications we'll have. We already know we want equipment to be able to talk to each other. We need to be able to monitor the kinds of things that are happening in our grain bins, in our livestock buildings. But we're going to have applications, and you see it out there, where access is available to have machine learning and us to be able to actually just spray the weed, not the whole field, when we go across that field, to have equipment talk to each other. There's so many different things, and monitoring won't just be buildings and practices out there, but it may actually even be plants and understanding what field conditions are so that we can figure out when we should be in the field, when we should be out there with our livestock, so that we have a sense of an animal about to be needing treatment, as opposed to waiting until we visually can see an animal needs attention. And all these kinds of things will need the kinds of things that we're celebrating right here today. They need that data, availability and movement, and the technologies that will come from that in the future. So this is a big deal. It certainly is a important part of the country. I would argue rural America is essentially, I would argue, the hometown of many of the folks in America, whether they've been here or not. They benefit from the food that's provided. They benefit from the culture that is a part of rural America. And certainly it's an important investment for the country to be able to make. And I think that's recognized by Congress, certainly recognized by President Trump and Secretary Perdue. Secretary Perdue has been at some of the announcements of these projects. This is his first round. We certainly hope as well that there's an opportunity for many more dollars in the future to be able to make investments. I think this is not only about this project, which is worthy of celebrating, but it's also about the idea of being able to have these public-private partnerships that create a sustainable opportunity for folks to be able to have high-speed internet, have broadband in the future, and then what that means for rural communities well beyond Wayne and Jefferson County, and what that means across this country. And so thank you all for being here to celebrate it. You can just imagine the opportunities out there. We certainly need to be able to provide opportunities for folks to be able to stay and invest, return to our rural counties as well. We know it's economically important. It's important to the agricultural systems. I would argue it's important to the fabric of this country, that we have the infrastructure that's every bit as important as roads, as electricity, as telephone service has been. It may not be as visible, but it is absolutely essential, and it's determinant of whether some folks come back. It's certainly determinant of whether folks are able to access the technologies today. It's very determinant of whether they're going to be able to access the technologies of the future. So it's important for this to happen, and it takes real folks to be able to dig lines and to be able to make this happen, to be able to hook up homes and businesses, to be able to provide that. And so thanks to all of the folks in here that will make that happen, that will actually carry that out. Really appreciate that. That's an important part of this project as well. Certainly the commitment by the board of directors and the leadership at Wabash, but what this means for an awful lot of folks in the work that you'll do every day, whether it's sun shining or raining or other kinds of things going on out there, you're going to be out there making sure that this work gets done and people will be able to have that service. So the opportunities, I think, are exciting. I'm very pleased to be able to be here. My actual area, as Doug said, is focused on farm support systems through Farm Service Agency, our conservation programs that Ivan leads here in Illinois, and the connections that we have with many partners from soil districts and other conservation partners out there, certainly our partnerships with our farmers, and then crop insurance programs as well. All those areas are touched by the need for broadband. We want to go out to the field and engineer a project. The best thing is to be able to have LiDAR access on our equipment and be able to actually engineer a project while we're there. It's important for us to be able to accept information from a farmer's planter records to be able to determine what they have planted out there. We're going to get to the point someday when we can actually do that technically in our own offices. Our own offices certainly need to be able to have high-speed internet as well, and obviously the connection that we have with managing yields and other kinds of things that we do through our crop insurance programs is essential for all the adjusters and the agents that are out there, and that communication that needs to happen between FSA and RMA offices. Very pleased to be able to be here. Thank you all for celebrating this. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to come back in the future as well and be able to see that working on some of our farms and businesses here, to be able to hear some of the stories of some folks that use that technology potentially to develop other technologies that others across the country and maybe even the world can use as well. I think this opens up not only the opportunity for folks here to be able to use technologies that are developed other places, but I think, as I'd heard some stories from other places, it offers the opportunity for folks, because they have the technology, to develop technologies here. Internet is this way of making the world, in some ways, a smaller place. It allows you to be able to build a business wherever you are, if you have that access to technology as well, and make all folks more responsive and profitable as well. So we want our businesses here to be able to be as efficient and as effective as we can be. We need to be able to have them have all those opportunities, and it's an exciting time. But just because, certainly the dollars were available. We have folks like rural development here in the state that makes it known and can work with folks, and then we have organizations like Wabash and the employees here. They're willing to step up and make that commitment to be a part of this. So again, congratulations everybody for your role in all this, and certainly thanks for being here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Undersecretary Northey. Thank you, Doug. I also want to thank the Board of Directors for allowing us to apply for this ReConnect program. I want to thank the employees in the back and the employees sitting here in the chairs. And some of these employees went out and knocked on these doors, and if anybody knows they need service out there, you can just talk to these employees. They know how desperate they need it. I want to thank the administration and Congress for allocating the money. It's probably one of the few things we have bipartisan support on in this country at this moment. Appreciate that. Also, have a couple of cooperative managers, 2 or 3 managers here in the office that we deal with a lot. Programs like this, we're a cooperative. We have a cooperative mentality. We try to do our best to serve the rural people in this state. And if it wasn't for programs like this, we couldn't expand further out. We just couldn't do it, because if you know anything about cooperatives, you have sometimes you have a house every square mile sometimes, and you're just unable to do that. And again, just appreciate the employees for the hard work we've done on this, and we'll do the best job we can to get this fiber to the home project done and get everybody high-speed internet that they deserve. And thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, I hope it's easy to see that we're all, I'll say, men of few words, but hopefully we conveyed the importance of this. This is a great opportunity for this area, this community. It's a great opportunity for us to be able to partner with a local cooperative like Wabash. So I'm thrilled. I want to thank everyone for coming today. I also, especially Undersecretary Northey, as one can imagine, his date book is much fuller than mine. So we appreciate him working us into the schedule. It is a good element. We're United States Department of Agriculture, but hopefully you get a feel that we really are rural America focused. Just to put in a little bit of perspective, in Illinois, there are 1.6 million people that are classified as rural. That puts us right around top 10 in the nation in rural population. And so that does give us lots and lots of opportunities to participate. Broadband is becoming a backbone, but along with that are all the other things we do, from hospitals to schools to businesses to home ownership. That's one of the things I really enjoy about rural development. Every day is different when you have this many different programs. So I'm very excited that this announcement happened here today and that it came together on such a beautiful day. And today you've seen, as I can refer to Rural Development's new logo, Together America Prospers. And Wabash Telephone Co-op in this surrounding area, you are part of that. Congratulations to you all. Yes, I don't believe any media that are in the room that wants to do interview or follow-up, we'll probably do a picture up front, but then be available for any types of questions and interviews. So. I didn't see you.
Nope.